Coins are much more than simple pieces of metal used for buying goods. They are small, durable artifacts that carry immense historical weight. In a place as diverse and complex as the Indonesian archipelago, coins serve as miniature storytellers. They tell us about powerful kingdoms long gone, vast trade networks that connected distant lands, and the rise and fall of empires. Each piece of silver, no matter how small, offers a tangible connection to the people who made it and used it. By studying these coins, we can trace the flow of power, the spread of religions, and the struggle for independence. They are official documents, stamped with the symbols and authority of their time, providing a unique and reliable record of history. The story of Indonesian silver coins is a journey through centuries of cultural exchange and transformation. The islands were a crossroads of global trade, and this is reflected in their money. Early inhabitants used barter and beads, but soon, foreign coins from China and India began to appear, brought by merchants seeking spices and other exotic goods. These were followed by locally made coins that blended foreign influences with unique Indonesian artistry. As Hindu-Buddhist kingdoms flourished, they created distinctive silver pieces. Later, Islamic sultanates introduced coins with Arabic script, marking a profound shift in the region's religious and political landscape. This rich numismatic tapestry tells a story of adaptation and identity. The arrival of European powers, particularly the Dutch, brought another dramatic change. The Dutch East India Company, and later the Dutch colonial government, introduced their own currency, which dominated the economy for centuries. These coins, with their European designs and markings, symbolize a long period of foreign rule. Yet even during this time, local monetary traditions persisted in some areas. The subsequent Japanese occupation during World War II and the hard-fought struggle for independence each left their own mark on Indonesia's coinage. These coins are powerful reminders of conflict, nationalism, and the birth of a new nation. Ultimately, exploring the history of Indonesian silver coins is like walking through a museum of the nation's soul. Each coin, from the earliest crude silver ingots to the finely milled coins of the modern republic, has a story to tell. They reveal how different cultures, Indian, Chinese, Arabic, and European, shaped the archipelago's destiny. They also showcase the resilience and creativity of the Indonesian people, who absorbed these influences while creating something entirely their own. For collectors and historians, these silver discs are not just currency, they are windows into Indonesia's vibrant and layered past, offering clues that written records sometimes cannot. The earliest forms of currency in the Indonesian archipelago were not coins at all. For centuries, trade was conducted through barter, where goods like spices, textiles, and rice were exchanged directly. Over time, more standardized items like beads, bronze drums, and precious metals became a common medium of exchange. These early commodity monies laid the groundwork for a more sophisticated monetary system. Silver, valued for its rarity and beauty, was particularly important. It was often traded in the form of rings, bracelets, and small, unmarked ingots. These pieces were valued by their weight, a practice that would influence the development of the first true coins in the region. The first coins to circulate widely in the islands were not locally made. They were brought by foreign traders who sailed the maritime routes connecting China, Southeast Asia, India, and the Middle East. From around the 9th century, Chinese silver and base metal coins, known as pitis or kepeng, became common in port cities across Sumatra and Java. These coins, with their distinctive square hole in the center, were easy to string together for counting and transport. Their presence shows the powerful influence of Chinese trade networks. Similarly, silver coins from various Indian dynasties, such as the Pallavas and Cholas, also found their way into local markets, introducing new designs and weight standards. These imported coins served a crucial purpose. They provided a standardized measure of value that simplified transactions and helped the local economy grow beyond simple barter. Local merchants and rulers quickly recognized the benefits of a uniform currency. The designs on these foreign coins, featuring symbols of Chinese emperors or Hindu deities, also introduced new cultural and artistic ideas to the islands. The use of these coins was not limited to major ports. Archaeological finds have uncovered them in remote inland areas, suggesting they circulated widely and were integrated into many levels of society. The widespread use of foreign coins eventually inspired local rulers to create their own. They saw that issuing currency was a powerful way to assert their authority and control their economies. The The first locally produced coins were often imitations of the foreign ones, particularly those from India. Rulers in Java and Sumatra began striking their own silver pieces, adopting the weight standards and sometimes even the imagery of Indian coins. This marked a pivotal moment in Indonesian numismatic history. The transition from using foreign money to producing a distinct local coinage that reflected the identity and power of the emerging kingdoms. The rise of powerful Hindu-Buddhist kingdoms in Java and Sumatra from around the 8th to the 15th centuries ushered in a golden age of Indonesian coinage. The Mataram kingdom in central Java was one of the first to issue its own distinctive coins. These were not the flat, round discs we know today. Instead, they were small, lumpy pieces of silver and gold, often called piloncito coins by collectors, due to their resemblance to a tooth. These coins, known locally as masa and kupang, were stamped on one side with a single character in Nagari script, an ancient Indian alphabet. The character was typically ma for masa, signifying its weight and value. Another fascinating type of coin from this era is the sandalwood flower coin. These small silver coins, primarily associated with the Srivijaya Empire and later the Majapahit Kingdom, were famous for their unique design. They featured a stylized four-petaled sandalwood flower, or bunga tanjung, on one side. The reverse side often had a symbol, such as a vajra, or a letter in Kawi script. These coins were produced in various denominations, with the largest being the masa, weighing about 2.4 grams. Their delicate and consistent design suggests a sophisticated and centralized minting process, reflecting the administrative power of these great maritime empires. The Majapahit Empire, which reached its peak in the 14th century, continued and expanded upon these earlier coinage traditions. Based in East Java, Majapahit controlled a vast trading network that stretched across Southeast Asia. Their silver masa coins became a standard currency throughout the archipelago. While the sandalwood flower design remained popular, Majapahit also produced cruder, stamped silver coins known as gobog or pieces. These were often made by pouring molten silver into molds and stamping them with simple symbols. Their widespread circulation is a testament to Majapahit's economic dominance and its ability to regulate trade across its many vassal states. The designs on these Hindu-Buddhist coins are deeply symbolic. The sandalwood flower was not just a pretty pattern. It was associated with royalty and divinity. The use of Sanskrit-derived scripts like Nagari and Kawi linked the kingdoms to the prestigious cultural and religious traditions of India. These coins were more than just money. They were a declaration of the ruler's legitimacy and divine right to rule. For collectors today, these ancient silver pieces are incredibly evocative. Holding one is like touching a direct link to the legendary kingdoms that once dominated the Spice Islands, a time of great temples, epic poetry, and bustling sea trade. The arrival and spread of Islam in the Indonesian archipelago, beginning around the 13th century, brought profound changes to its culture, politics, and coinage. As Hindu-Buddhist kingdoms declined, powerful Islamic sultanates emerged, particularly in Sumatra, Java, and the Malay Peninsula. These new rulers introduced coins that reflected their new faith. The Samudera Pasai Sultanate in northern Sumatra is credited with issuing some of the earliest Islamic coins in the region. Their tiny gold and silver coins, known as mas and dirham, replaced Hindu-Buddhist imagery with Arabic script. The inscriptions typically included the name of the sultan and religious phrases from the Quran. The designs of these Islamic coins were a deliberate departure from the past. Instead of flowers or Sanskrit letters, the coins were dominated by calligraphy. The Jawi script, an adaptation of the Arabic alphabet for the Malay language, was commonly used. Coins from the powerful Aceh Sultanate, for example, often featured the sultan's name and title on the obverse, while the reverse bore the phrase As-Sultan al-Adil, meaning the just sultan. This was a powerful statement of political and religious authority. The silver coins, often called dirham, were usually small, thin, and sometimes irregularly shaped, but their inscriptions were a clear symbol of the sultanate's identity. One of the most influential coinages of this period came from the Banten Sultanate in West Java. From the 16th to the 19th centuries, Banten was a major center for the pepper trade, attracting merchants from China, India, and Europe. The Sultanate produced a large number of lead and tin pitis coins for everyday transactions. However, for larger trades, they also minted silver coins that were heavily influenced by foreign currency. Some Banton silver coins imitated the design of Spanish-American silver dollars, showing how global trade patterns were shaping local economies. This blending of local and foreign elements is a key feature of the Sultanate coinage. The coins from various sultanates like Palembang, Siak, and Gawa in Sulawesi each had their own unique characteristics. Some were crudely made, while others displayed remarkable craftsmanship. For example, the Palembang Sultanate produced unusual coins, shaped like animals, such as roosters and fish, cast from tin or lead. While most silver coins were more conventional, the variety across the archipelago is stunning. These coins are historical documents that trace the spread of Islam and the commercial power of the sultanates. They show rulers who were connected to the wider Islamic world through faith and to the global economy through trade, all while maintaining their own distinct local identities. The arrival of the Dutch in the early 17th century, really marked the beginning of the end for the independent sultanates and their coinage. The Dutch East India Company, or VOC, Verenigde Oost-Indische Compagnie, was this massive trading corporation, complete with its own army, navy, and interestingly, the authority to mint coins. Initially, the VOC imported foreign coins to facilitate trade, especially the highly sought-after Spanish-American silver 8 reales, also known as pieces of 8. These large silver coins were trusted worldwide and became, the standard for international commerce in the Spice Islands. The VOC even counter-stamped these coins with their own mark to authorize them for local use. But, realizing the cost and inefficiency of shipping coins all the way from Europe, the VOC soon began minting its own currency specifically for the East Indies. In 1644, they started producing silver real coins that mimicked the Spanish design. However, their most famous coins were the silver guilders, or gulden, and their fractions, like the stuiver, dubbeltje, and kwartje. These coins were struck in the Netherlands at various provincial mints, including Holland, Utrecht, and Zeeland. They featured the Dutch coat of arms on one side and the VOC monogram, a large V with an O and C intertwined on the other. This monogram was a powerful symbol of the company's monopoly and authority over the region. After the VOC went bankrupt in 1799, the Dutch government took direct control of its territories, forming the colony of the Dutch East Indies. The coinage was subsequently updated to reflect this change. The VOC monogram was replaced by the Netherlands' royal coat of arms or the portrait of the reigning Dutch monarch, such as King Willem I, II, or III, and later, Queen Wilhelmina. A new series of silver gulden, half-gulden, and quarter-gulden coins were introduced. A key feature of these coins was the inscription, Nederland, Indie, meaning Netherlands Indies, and the denomination written in both Dutch and local scripts, such as Javanese and Arabic, to make sure they were understood by the local population. These colonial coins were minted with precision and consistency, which honestly was a stark contrast to the often crude coins of the local sultanates. They were produced in vast quantities at mints in Utrecht in the Netherlands, and for a time, in Surabaya and Batavia, now Jakarta, in the Indies. The silver coins became the backbone of the colonial economy, used for paying taxes, funding infrastructure projects, and purchasing export crops from Indonesian farmers. Their dominance effectively erased most local currencies, symbolizing the economic and political subjugation of the archipelago under Dutch rule. For over 300 years, these silver pieces were a daily reminder of who was in control. The long period of Dutch colonial rule came to an abrupt end during World War II. In early 1942, the Empire of Japan invaded and occupied the Dutch East Indies, seeking to control its rich natural resources, especially oil and rubber. The Japanese immediately took control of the economy and the monetary system. Their goal was to eliminate all symbols of Western influence and integrate the archipelago into their so-called Greater East Asia Co-Prosperity Sphere. One of the first steps was to replace the Dutch currency. The Japanese administration issued its own series of notes and, for a short time, planned for coins that were starkly different from their Dutch predecessors. The Japanese occupation government issued paper money denominated in gulden and later rupiah. These notes were printed quickly and were not backed by precious metals which, as you might guess, led to hyperinflation. Regarding coinage, the Japanese had plans to introduce a new series of coins, but the war's demands on metal resources meant very few were actually minted and circulated. The planned coins were to be made of aluminum and tin, not silver, since precious metals were needed for the war effort. The designs were intended to promote Japanese and Pan-Asian ideology. For instance, pattern coins were created featuring a wayang, or shadow puppet, on one side and the denomination on the other, an attempt to use local culture for propaganda purposes. A notable pattern coin from this period is the aluminum 10 sen, dated 2604 in the Japanese calendar, which is 1944. It features a traditional wang puppet head on the obverse, with the denomination 10 sen below it. The reverse side has the inscription Dai Nippon, meaning Great Japan, at the top and the date at the bottom. Another planned coin was the one sen, featuring a rice stalk, symbolizing agricultural prosperity under Japanese guidance. These coins were designed at the Osaka Mint in Japan, but the deteriorating war situation prevented their mass production and distribution. As a result, they are extremely rare today and are highly prized by collectors as artifacts of this turbulent period. The story of Japanese occupation coinage is honestly more about what was planned than what was actually used. In reality, the economy during these 3.5 years was chaotic. The old Dutch silver coins were hoarded for their intrinsic value and disappeared from circulation almost overnight. The Japanese paper money quickly became worthless and many people reverted to barter or used the old Dutch notes in secret. The short-lived and mostly unissued coinage of the Japanese occupation serves as a powerful symbol of a brief but brutal interruption in Indonesia's history, a time of hardship, scarcity, and a failed attempt to replace one colonial master with another. Following Japan's surrender in 1945, Indonesian nationalists led by Sukarno and Hatta declared independence on August 17. This marked the beginning of a new, tumultuous chapter in the nation's history. The fledgling Republic of Indonesia faced immense challenges, including a desperate struggle to gain international recognition and fight off the returning Dutch forces who sought to reclaim their colony. In the midst of this revolution, establishing a national currency was a critical act of sovereignty. The first Indonesian money, known as Ori, or Oyang Republik Indonesia, was printed in 1946 under difficult conditions. These were simple paper notes, as the new government lacked the resources to mint coins. The first official coins of the Republic of Indonesia were not issued until 1951 and 1952, after the Dutch formally transferred sovereignty in December 1949. These early coins were made of aluminum and other base metals, since silver was still too expensive for the war-torn economy. The designs were simple, featuring the nation's name, Indonesia, the denomination, and the year of issue, often surrounded by stars or rice and cotton stalks, symbolizing prosperity and social welfare. A key figure on some of these early coins was the nationalist hero Prince Diponegoro, whose portrait appeared on the 50-cent coin, connecting the new republic to a historical legacy of resistance against the Dutch. It was not until 1970 that the Republic of Indonesia issued its first silver coins for general circulation. This was part of a major currency reform aimed at stabilizing the economy under President Suharto's New Order administration. A series of coins with denominations of 25, 50, and 100 rupiah were released, featuring bold, modern designs. The 100 rupiah coin, for example, displayed a traditional Minangkabau house, or Rumah Gadang, on the reverse, while the obverse showed the national emblem, the Garuda Pancasila. These coins were made of a copper-nickel alloy, not silver, but their silver color represented a return to monetary stability and pride. True silver coins issued by the Republic have primarily been commemorative issues for collectors, not for circulation. Starting in the 1970s, Bank Indonesia began releasing beautiful silver coins to mark important anniversaries, celebrate Indonesian wildlife, and honor national heroes. For example, a series of silver coins was issued to raise funds for the World Wildlife Fund, featuring endangered Indonesian animals like the Komodo dragon, the orangutan, and the Javan tiger. These coins, often struck in proof quality with high silver purity, showcase the nation's rich biodiversity and cultural heritage. They represent a modern nation that is confident in its identity and proud to share its story with the world through the art of numismatics. For American collectors and history enthusiasts, the world of Indonesian coinage holds many treasures and fascinating stories. Certain coins are exceptionally rare and valuable, not just for their silver content, but for the history they represent. Among the most sought after are the silver sandalwood flower massa coins from the Majapahit kingdom. Because they were hand-struck over 700 years ago, Finding a well-preserved specimen with a clear design is a rare treat. These coins connect a collector directly to the legendary empire that once ruled the seas of Southeast Asia, a civilization known for its grand temples and epic literature. They are a tangible piece of a golden age. Another area of great interest for Americans is coinage related to global trade, and few coins are more famous than the Spanish-American 8 reals, or pillar dollar. These large silver coins were the de facto world currency for centuries and were used extensively in the Indonesian archipelago. The Dutch East India Company, or VOC, often counter-stamped these coins with their own symbols to make them legal tender. A Spanish dollar bearing a VOC mark is a 2-for-1 piece of history. It tells a story of the Spanish Empire's silver mines in the Americas and the Dutch trading empire in Asia. It is a single object that connects the Philippines, Mexico, and Indonesia in a web of global commerce. The transitional periods of history often produce the rarest coins. The coins designed by the Japanese during their brief occupation of Indonesia are a prime example. The aluminum 1, 5, and 10 sen pattern coins from 1943 to 1944 were never mass-produced due to the war. Only a handful of examples made as trial pieces at the Osaka Mint are known to exist. These coins, with their unique wayang puppet designs, are ghostly remnants of a history that almost was. Their rarity and compelling backstory make them a holy grail for specialists in World War II numismatics, fetching very high prices whenever they appear at auction. Finally, some coins are famous for the legends associated with them. The magic coins, or gobog wayang from the Majapahit era, are large bronze and sometimes silver-washed amulets that resemble coins. They are decorated with intricate scenes from Hindu epics, featuring gods, demons, and heroes from wayang puppet theater. While they were probably not used as official currency, local folklore imbued them with protective powers. It was believed they could ward off evil spirits, ensure a good harvest, or bring good fortune. These pieces blur the line between money and magic, giving us a fascinating glimpse into the spiritual beliefs of medieval Java. For an American audience, they are an exotic and intriguing link to a different worldview.